This is Scaling Across Borders, a journey into the markets most of the world overlooks. I'm Greg Moran, an investor looking for what others miss. Places on the edge of the map that are building their own future. My first stop? Kosovo. It's a country better known for headlines from the past, yet rarely seen for what it's truly becoming. So for the last bunch of episodes, we've actually seen Kosovo from the city. And we've seen Pristina and the dynamic economic activity that's happening there and how it's really booming, and building up in the startup ecosystem that we've seen all around it and the culinary scene, and looked at it from that perspective. Today we're seeing a completely different perspective of Kosovo, and that's outside the city, in the mountains. Kosovo actually is part of the Balkan Peaks. It's got just tremendous outdoor activity and outdoor adventure, whether it's skiing or hiking, and we're going to actually start to explore a lot of that today in this episode of Scaling Across Borders. Out here, things just seem to move a little differently. Time stretches. Sound carries farther. You notice where you're stepping. I've always felt more at ease in places like this. Mountains have a way of slowing you down. A way of reminding you that nothing solid gets built quickly. Where I come from, landscapes like this, they teach you patience early. They don't reward shortcuts, they reward showing up, again and again. What I came to understand in Kosovo wasn't just about cities, or startups, or scale. It was about mindset. Just so peaceful.
It's peaceful, especially when you hear the smell, you see?
Yeah, there's the wood fire and the...
Yeah.
Like, a lot of these houses look brand new.
They are brand new.
Are they?
Yeah. They are brand new. Back in time, they used rocks to build the houses. We used to call them stun. And now, in the last 25 years, they're using more wood. But the wood should not be from these mountains because you cannot cut without permission.
Oh, okay.
So they have to have this governmental permit that usually they are provided with them in the municipal level, in municipality.
Ermal chose to build where most people, they only pass through. In the mountains of western Kosovo, he created Happy Trails. It wasn't just a tourism business. He wanted to build a way to reconnect people with the land.
It all started in 2012. We were some friends who were usually doing hiking in the mountains, and we came up with the idea that we should create something that is ours, like a small business or something. Now Happy Trails is one of the two biggest tour operators in our municipality, and also one of the biggest in Kosovo.
How should people think about Kosovo as a travel destination, particularly more of like an adventure travel destination?
Yeah, there's one thing coming up on my mind right now, and that's a virgin country, virgin trails, beautiful nature. People that really want to get in touch with the nature and see the wilderness should really consider to come and visit Kosovo. That's what most of the tourists are doing nowadays, especially in the last years. I mean, it's a very beautiful and untouched country that offers a lot.
For Ermal, this work isn't about adventure for its own sake. It's about creating a reason to stay and a reason for others to see this place differently. So you started to see more Americans, more people from other European countries coming in and viewing Kosovo as like an outdoor travel destination, adventure travel destination?
Yeah, that's a true fact. Actually, Kosovo is an exquisite outdoor destination. People love this type of mountains, especially when it comes up to dynamic mountains. Each year that is passing, we are having more tourists, and especially people that are coming from Canada, from the United States, and from western part of Europe. So they find Kosovo very attractive, especially when it comes up on trailing. As we know, we have two very important trails in this part of the mountains. It's called the Peaks of the Balkans Trail. Most of the Americans and also the Western tourists are coming to see this platform, and they stay for 11 days, maybe sometimes 8, sometimes 4, depends on the tracks you choose. We actually have a very interesting accommodation system because we have guest houses in each highlands that they reach while walking. So they provide food and also the accommodation. But there are tourists that they really like to do this without staying in a guest house or a hotel or a hostel. So they take the tents and so they do camping, and it's free. You can do it everywhere you want.
There's something about Kosovo. It's a feeling that things aren't random, that places, they carry weight. And while today people come to see these mountains for their beauty, not long ago, it carried a very different meaning.
These are the accursed mountains. So, in English, that sounds a lot like cursed mountains, but I think it means the same thing in Albania, right? What's the story behind the name of these mountains?
That's the same name in Albania. In Albanian, we call Bjeshkët e Neuna. The story behind it, it varies. There are different stories about this one, but one that is more convincing is because of the lot of wars that Kosovo and Albania back in time had with the other countries regarding to these lands.
Right.
So many soldiers came to conquer Kosovo and Albania through these mountains, and then after in different battles they were killed.
Yep.
And just because there were so many killings and so many young people died in those wars, their mothers has cursed these mountains, and they named it just because of that, they're cursed mountains.
But standing here, what stays with you isn't the past. It's the view. Before choosing the mountains, Ermal tried a different path. The one that pulls people towards cities, towards scale, towards something bigger.
I saw that in big cities, it's not always the thing that they will give you the opportunity to go forward. Sometimes are also the small areas, small towns or villages that will give you a nice opportunities for having a better life.
And then he made a different choice.
I went to Pristina as a student, and I finished my bachelor's there, and then I started my master's, and then I ended up finishing my master's in Germany. And then I decided to come back in Kosovo again so I could do something good for my country. I decided to come back in Deçan, in my municipality. In a village that I live, it's 4 kilometers away from there. So here it's the place that I got inspired, and also I got into the business.
He went back to the place that inspired him in the first place. Starting small, but with real intention. And this wasn't the first time we heard this story. We heard it in different forms from different people across this whole season in Kosovo.
It was always a dream to move back.
I always came back,
Started building.
The goal was to come back and start something of my own.
To help build the country.
Founders who came back to build businesses. Educators who returned to build systems.
First of all, it is my land.
There is no place like your homeland.
There is so much love here.
And it's special.
Different paths, same decision. They all started small. Even the chief of staff to the prime minister of Kosovo is also somebody who chose to come back and start from the inside.
We grew up with parents telling us, don't forget the country and return. Kosovo needs you more than US.
Luan left at a time when Kosovo offered very little certainty.
Back then it was in 94 when I accidentally met an American couple who were here. And I, by accident, met them in front of my building. If I didn't go out that night, that afternoon, late afternoon, I don't know where I would have been. So then I actually criticized them a little bit in my broken English back then. I said, you come here, you Americans, you internationals, you don't help us. I'm without school. In fact, it was 3rd week of September and I was out of school because the schools were closed.
Yeah.
And then they took me, they asked me to go for a brief interview. The next day I went, and once we started discussing, they asked what you want to be when you grow up. So like most of the kids around here, parents instill this want and wish to be a doctor. I said, a doctor. Said, well, how come a doctor? The schools are closed. You have no laboratories, so just like everyone else. What can we do?
Right.
Right there, she turned to her husband. They spoke for like 30 seconds, and they turned to me and said, would you like to come to US and stay with us?
He built a life abroad. He learned how institutions work. And then came back not for comfort, but out of responsibility.
When I returned, I used to work for U.S. Department of Commerce for a few years, which enabled me to understand the private sector, the public sector much better, and see that there are actually opportunities here.
Today, part of his job is identifying what Kosovo needs next. And the list is long.
We have identified over 6 billion euros of current investment needs for in infrastructure, in public infrastructure, like in transport, environment, and energy. So there's a lot happening here. For someone who is in a developed country, whose improvements you can measure incrementally with small decimal percentages.
Right.
In Kosovo, you can really feel change, positive changes, and this is motivating for people like us.
What Luan is describing, it's rare. The chance to work in a democracy where effort can actually move the needle.
Kosovo is number one in Western Balkans in terms of strengthening democracy, rule of law, minority protection and rights. We have, because again, the context, because of everything was ruined, and then we started rebuilding from scratch.
Right.
All of our institutions were rebuilt from the expertise of US, EU, and other developed democracies.
This created space for a younger generation to step in and start carrying some of that weight.
The fact that we have the youngest population also is promising compared to, let's say, Western Europe, which has a older population, and more and more they're looking to outsource, therefore a lot of business operations. Many of the manufacturers in Western Europe are looking to relocate. And of course, relocating is not sufficient nowadays just to nearshore. You also want to be friendly shoring as well. You want to be in a country which aligns with your values.
We heard it from founders, we heard it from educators. Luan is simply affirming it from the inside. The opportunities here are endless. When I first arrived in Kosovo, there was one question I kept hearing over and over again. Is it safe? People answered quickly, almost instinctively.
I suppose that exists because there just hasn't been any real conversation to change that narrative in 26 years.
Someone wrote an article in the newspaper that a total crime situation in Kosovo is less than in the city of Stockholm. And I lived here and walked around the streets with no fear at all, except one night I stepped into an empty manhole.
Right.
People think that it's not safe to come here, and I'm telling you, it's fun to come here. Not only that it's safe to come here, it's fun, and we have a strong story of resilience to share with the world, how you can get by even if the odds are against you.
That question says a lot, not just about Kosovo, but about how the world still sees it.
You know, you can't even express how safe it really is. You walk around here, there is really no crime. There is no concern day or night as you're walking around the streets. And I think a lot of that goes back to people just thinking in terms of a war-torn country. And this is no longer a war-torn country. Yeah, there was a war, but it was 25 years ago. But it's as safe as any place you're ever going to travel, and far safer than most places, most big cities in the U.S.
Because safety was never the story here.
I had an American friend visit after 8 years earlier this year, and he said to me, when I was here 8 years ago, it felt like Kosovo was rebuilding. Now it just feels like it's building.
Right.
There's a momentum here.
Yeah.
And maybe to add this FOMO element to it,
That's right.
The resources are scarce, so they're not endless. So it's the right time
To see and to feel. That youth, that climate, that food, that energy, that resilience.
And also, we mentioned the talent is here. And
We have seen enough stories now in Kosovo to say that there is a critical mass for a more serious player or players to come. There is enough talent.
Entrepreneurship is on the block.
we have no bureaucracy.
We are quite flexible, and this helps a lot.
What we kept running into instead were people building. And people from the outside, they started to notice.
When we first started visiting, specifically in Pristina, and started learning about people and started talking to much of the younger generation, we found a few things that were different than most other places in the world. And we've had, teams and have built companies in many areas of the world. And what we found here instantly, there was a passion, there was an interest in development.
Just looking back in the past of how much the IT sector has grown, back in 2017, it was 47 million euros in IT exports. And now 2024 has been 347 million in IT exports, like a 700% increase in just 7 years' time.
What we found across these weeks wasn't a country defined by what happened to it. It was a country defined by what people chose to do next.
Well, outside of the fact that Kosovo has a huge group of young people,
50% of the population in this country is under 30.
Really eager to get out of the shell and learn.
We have a huge pool of talent, and it's getting bigger and bigger every day.
You have that perfect balance of very good cost structure, great pool of resources.
We saw people leave bigger markets and safer paths and chose to come back.
Digital market in Kosovo doesn't surpass 10-15 million TAM. But if you look at e-commerce, all of a sudden it starts to make sense. Because e-commerce in Kosovo, Albania, North Macedonia, add Montenegro, and Serbia and Bulgaria to it, all of a sudden you have a $20 billion TAM.
The other thing is you are really close to Europe.
Yeah.
You are really close to the market. And I see that in Europe, US, whatever, they really filter what kind of job to do.
Yeah.
They don't want to
work with their hands, like manufacturing.
Everything from office. So Kosovo, Albania, and Balkans are still love this kind of job.
Yeah.
And they're not stopping.
We are unstoppable. A lot of borders was made, a lot of walls even before was made, but nobody can stop the dynamics and energy of the people, that entrepreneurship spirit that people has.
Change here doesn't always show up in charts or reports. Sometimes you just need to look around.
For 5 years, this building didn't exist here. All of this hood didn't exist. It was 2-3 floor. Now you have here 38 floor, here 21 floor, lot of the highest building here.
Yeah.
And beyond business, beyond infrastructure, there's something else carrying this place forward.
The youth in here are so intellectual, creative in this process. That is something that you can't buy. Either you are born with it or not.
Right.
So our youth has it.
Yep.
So this is why everything can die in Kosovo, but the entertainment, the culture, the arts will never stop it.
We came to Kosovo to film season 1 of Scaling Across Borders, and we didn't know what to expect. And when we got here, what we found was a newborn country, a country where its freedom is newborn, its democracy is newborn, and we saw its founders and the youth of the country, not only in how young the country is, but how young its population is, and the ambition and the drive to go build something extraordinary, both as a country and in their businesses. We'll see you next season.
What stood out to me in Kosovo wasn't scale. It was accountability. Again and again, I met people who could have stayed somewhere bigger and maybe more established. Instead, they chose a place where the work is harder, but the impact, it's clearer. They weren't waiting for permission, their perfect conditions. They were building what was in front of them. The talent is real. The ambition is grounded. And the commitment, it's really personal. From the outside, this isn't a place you understand through reports or headlines. You understand it by being here.